At 2:47 in the morning on November 18, 1943, Lieutenant Commander Samuel Dealey stood in the conning tower of the USS Harder, a Gato-class submarine, watching through his periscope as 6 Japanese destroyers steamed directly toward his position 400 yards away. The destroyers were hunting him, their sonar was pinging, their depth charges were armed. Standard doctrine said, dive deep, go silent, evade. Dealey had different plans. He ordered his crew to surface, to charge directly at the destroyers, to hunt the hunters. His executive officer thought he'd lost his mind. His sonar man said it was suicide. The torpedo officer just stared. But Dealey had discovered something in the past 72 hours that would change submarine warfare in the Pacific. Something the Japanese Navy had never encountered. Something that would sink 5 destroyers in 4 days and force the Imperial Japanese Navy to completely reorganize their fleet dispositions across the entire Philippine Sea. This is the story of how one submarine commander turned every rule of undersea warfare upside down, how aggression replaced evasion, how a submarine became a destroyer killer, and how 4 days of absolute chaos convinced Japanese high command that the Americans had deployed a new secret weapon when all they were facing was one man who refused to follow the manual. If you want to see how Dealey's impossible tactics shocked the entire Japanese Navy, hit that like button right now. Samuel David Dealey was born on September 13, 1906, in Dallas, Texas. His father managed a small dry goods store. His mother taught piano lessons. The family wasn't poor, but they weren't comfortable either. Sam grew up fixing things, radios, bicycles, his father's delivery truck. By 16, he could tear down an engine and rebuild it better than it was before. He was quiet, methodical, patient. Not the kind of kid anyone expected to become one of the most aggressive submarine commanders in naval history. But something happened when Sam turned 17. His older brother died. Pneumonia. 3 days from fever to funeral. Sam watched his parents bury their firstborn son. Watched his mother stop playing piano. Watched his father close the store for a week and never smile quite the same way again. Sam made a decision. Life was short. Waiting was dying. If you were going to do something, you did it hard, and you did it now. He applied to the Naval Academy at Annapolis, got accepted. Graduated in 1930, ranked 87th out of 441 midshipmen. Not brilliant, but solid, steady, reliable. The kind of officer you could trust to follow orders and execute doctrine properly. The Navy assigned him to destroyers. He spent 8 years on surface ships, learning anti-submarine warfare, learning how destroyers hunted subs, learning what submarine captains feared most. In 1938, Dealey volunteered for submarine service. The training was brutal. Submarine school at New London pushed officers to their psychological breaking points. Tiny spaces, recycled air, the constant knowledge that one mistake meant drowning in a steel coffin at the bottom of the ocean. Dealey thrived. He understood machinery. He understood how to stay calm when everything was going wrong. He understood that submarines weren't just boats, they were weapon systems, and weapon systems could be optimized. By December 1941, when Pearl Harbor was attacked, Dealey was serving as executive officer on the USS S-20, an older S-class submarine. The S-boats were obsolete, slow, cramped, limited range, but Dealey learned submarine warfare the hard way. 6 war patrols, 0 confirmed kills, lots of near-death experiences. The S-20 was depth-charged 11 times. Each time, Dealey watched his captain follow doctrine, dive deep, go silent, wait for the destroyers to leave. It worked. They survived, but it meant they never sank anything either. In June 1943, Dealey received his own command, the USS Harder, submarine number SS-257, a Gato-class fleet submarine. brand new, fresh from the electric boat company in Groton, Connecticut. The Harder was 311 feet long, displaced 1,525 tons surfaced, carried 24 torpedoes and a crew of 80 men. She could dive to 300 feet. She could make 20 knots surfaced, 9 knots submerged. She was one of the best submarines the United States Navy had ever built. Dealey took command on August 18, 1943. He was 36 years old. He had 0 kills as a submarine captain. The crew didn't know what to expect. Their previous captain had been aggressive, had taken risks. Some of the crew liked that. Others thought it would get them killed. Dealey gathered his officers in the wardroom the first day, told them his philosophy: simple, direct. We're not here to survive patrols. We're here to sink Japanese ships. Every patrol, every contact, every opportunity, no hesitation, no second guessing. If we see a target, we attack. If they counterattack, we attack harder. The executive officer, Lieutenant Frank Lynch, asked about doctrine. Standard procedure was to avoid destroyers. They were too fast, too well armed, too dangerous. Attacking destroyers violated every rule in the submarine warfare manual. Dealey looked at Lynch for 5 seconds, then said something that would define the Harder's entire war. The manual was written by people who never faced a Japanese destroyer. We're going to write a new manual. So deal. The Harder's first war patrol began on September 2nd, 1943. Destination: the waters around Truk, Japan's major naval base in the Caroline Islands. The patrol lasted 51 days. Dealey sank 2 cargo ships. Not destroyers, not warships, just transports. Solid kills, but nothing extraordinary. The crew learned how Dealey operated. He was patient until he wasn't. He'd track a target for hours, positioning the Harder for the perfect shot. Then he'd close to point-blank range and fire a full spread of torpedoes. No long-range shots, no wasted fish. Get close, fire everything, guarantee the kill. The second patrol was different. October through December 1943. Dealey took the Harder into Japanese-controlled waters near New Guinea. Aggressive patrolling, constantly on the surface at night, charging batteries, hunting for targets. During that patrol, the Harder encountered her first destroyer. Standard doctrine said dive, evade, hide. Dealey did the opposite. He tracked the destroyer for 2 hours, positioned himself ahead of its patrol route, let it come to him. Then he surfaced at night, close to 900 yards, and fired 4 torpedoes. 3 missed. 1 hit the destroyer's stern. The explosion broke the ship's back. She sank in 4 minutes. The crew was ecstatic. They just killed a warship, a destroyer, something submarine captains avoided. Dealey was calm. He'd seen something during that attack. The destroyer hadn't expected a submarine to be aggressive. It had been patrolling lazily, predictably. When the torpedoes hit, the escort vessels scattered. They assumed the submarine was diving deep, running away. Instead, Dealey stayed on the surface, watched them search in the wrong places, then slipped away at 20 knots. That taught him something critical. Japanese destroyers were trained to hunt defensive submarines. They expected subs to dive and hide. They didn't expect a submarine to hunt them back. The third patrol changed everything. The Harder departed Pearl Harbor on April 26, 1944. Destination: the waters between New Guinea and the Philippines. Intelligence reported heavy Japanese naval activity, convoys, escorts, capital ships moving south. Dealey's orders were to patrol assigned areas, attack targets of opportunity, avoid unnecessary risks. He ignored the last part completely. On May 16th, the Harder encountered a convoy, 3 cargo ships, 2 destroyer escorts, perfect target. Dealey attacked at dusk, sank 1 cargo ship. The destroyers counterattacked immediately. Depth charges, lots of them. The Harder dove to 280 feet. The closest depth charge exploded 50 feet above them. The hull groaned, light bulbs shattered. The crew waited for the steel to tear open. It didn't. The destroyers kept pinging, kept dropping charges. Dealey watched the sonar display, studied the search pattern. The destroyers were following standard doctrine. Drop charges, circle back, listen for debris or oil, predictable, methodical, slow. Dealey had an idea. It was insane. It violated every principle of submarine warfare. But he'd watched these destroyers for 45 minutes. He knew their pattern. He knew their timing. He surfaced directly behind them. The destroyers were 2 miles away, facing the opposite direction. Dealey ordered full speed. The Harder charged forward at 20 knots, cut the distance to 200 yards before the destroyers detected them. By then, it was too late. Dealey fired 6 torpedoes, 2 destroyers, 3 fish each. The first destroyer took 2 hits, exploded. The second destroyer tried to turn, took 1 hit in the bow, sank in 3 minutes. The Harder dove before the surviving escorts could react. Dealey had just done something no American submarine captain had ever done. He'd sunk 2 destroyers in 1 attack. After surfacing to hunt him, the crew didn't celebrate. They were too shocked. Lynch, the executive officer, asked Dealey why he'd surfaced, why he'd charged destroyers that were actively hunting them. Dealey's answer was simple. They expected us to run, so we attacked. They'll never expect that. He was wrong about one thing. They would expect it, but not for another 3 days. And by then, Dealey would sink 3 more destroyers and force the Japanese Navy to change everything. May 19th, 1944. The Harder was patrolling northeast of the Admiralty Islands. Dealey was hunting for targets when sonar detected a contact. Single ship, medium size, closing fast. Dealey raised the periscope. Destroyer, type unknown. Range 3,000 yards, heading directly toward them. The destroyer had spotted the Harder's periscope. It was charging in for a depth charge run. Standard response: crash dive, go deep, evade. Dealey ordered the opposite. Battle station's torpedo. We're taking him head on. The crew thought he meant they'd fire and then dive. They were wrong. Dealey kept the Harder at periscope depth, let the destroyer close. 2,000 yards, 2,500 yards. The destroyer was accelerating, bow wave building, depth charges visible on the stern racks, 1,000 yards. The fire control officer was shouting ranges. The torpedo officer had a firing solution ready, 800 yards. Dealey waited, 600 yards. The destroyer was seconds away from dropping charges. Fire 1, fire 2, fire 3. 3 torpedoes launched in sequence, spread pattern. The Harder dove immediately, not deep, just 80 feet, enough to avoid the explosion. 30 seconds later, they heard the detonations, 2 hits. The destroyer's screws stopped. The hull broke apart with a sound like tearing metal. Pieces rained down on the ocean surface. The Harder surfaced an hour later. The destroyer was gone. Just debris and an oil slick. Dealey marked it in the log. 3rd destroyer kill. The crew was starting to believe. Their captain wasn't just lucky. He'd figured something out, something the Japanese hadn't countered yet. May 21st, 1944. The pattern repeated. The Harder detected a destroyer patrol, 2 ships. Range 4,000 yards. They were zigzagging. Standard anti-submarine pattern. Dealey didn't evade. He positioned the Harder in their path, waited at periscope depth, let them come to him. The lead destroyer passed 200 yards away. Dealey let it go. The second destroyer was trailing 800 yards behind. Dealey waited until it was broadside, perfect angle. Fire 1 through 4. 4 torpedoes. The destroyer tried to turn. Too late. 2 hits amidships. The destroyer rolled over in 90 seconds. The lead destroyer circled back, searching. Dealey dove to 200 feet, waited 30 minutes, surfaced. The area was clear. 4th destroyer kill. But this time was different. The Japanese had gotten a radio message off before sinking. Dealey heard it on the radio intercept. The destroyer reported being attacked by a submarine, reported torpedoes from point-blank range, reported aggressive tactics unlike anything they'd encountered. Japanese high command received that message. And they started to wonder, what kind of submarine attacks destroyers head on? May 22nd, 1944. The Harder was ordered to patrol near Tawi-Tawi, a Japanese naval anchorage in the Philippines. Intelligence reported major fleet units assembling there. Battleships, carriers, cruisers. The Imperial Japanese Navy was preparing for a major operation. Dealey's orders were to observe and report, not to engage capital ships. Too risky. Destroyers screened the anchorage, dozens of them. Dealey counted at least 15 on his first sweep. They were patrolling aggressively, clearly on high alert. Someone had warned them about aggressive American submarines. Dealey decided to test something. He deliberately exposed his periscope, made it visible. Wanted to see how they'd react. 2 destroyers broke formation immediately, charged toward his position. Range 5,000 yards and closing fast. They were hunting him. Dealey let them commit, let them accelerate, let them think they'd caught a submarine trying to escape. At 200 yards, Dealey turned toward them, pointed his bow directly at the lead destroyer. The geometry was perfect. The destroyer was charging straight at him. Closing speed was 35 knots. Dealey fired 3 torpedoes down the throat, Bowen shot, the hardest shot in submarine warfare. The torpedoes had to hit a target coming directly at them. Timing had to be perfect. Range calculation had to be exact. Any error meant a miss. Dealey's calculations were perfect. 2 torpedoes hit the destroyer's bow. The explosion detonated the forward magazine. The destroyer disintegrated. Pieces flew 200 feet into the air. The second destroyer tried to evade, turned hard right. Dealey fired 2 more torpedoes, lead shot, 1 hit. The destroyer lost power, started taking on water, sank in 7 minutes. Dealey dove to 150 feet. Listen to the chaos above. Destroyers were everywhere, pinging, dropping depth charges, searching frantically, but they were searching in the wrong places. They expected the submarine to be running deep, fast, away from the threat. Dealey stayed shallow, stayed slow, moved laterally instead of away. The search pattern missed him completely. 5 destroyers in 4 days. It was impossible, unprecedented. No submarine in the history of naval warfare had sunk 5 destroyers in 4 days. No submarine captain had ever hunted destroyers aggressively. It violated every principle of submarine doctrine, but it worked. It worked because the Japanese Navy had trained their destroyer crews to hunt defensive submarines, subs that dove deep, that ran away, that tried to hide. They had no counter-tactics for a submarine that attacked them first, that charged head-on, that stayed shallow and aggressive. The Japanese High Command noticed immediately. Intercepted radio messages were panicked. Destroyer captains reported aggressive submarine tactics, reported point-blank torpedo attacks, reported a submarine that hunted them instead of hiding. Japanese naval intelligence started calling it the Iron Hunter. They didn't know it was one submarine. They thought it was a new class of American attack sub. They thought the U.S. Navy had developed new torpedoes, new sonar, new tactics. They didn't realize it was just one commander who'd figured out that aggression beats evasion. Admiral Samuel Toyoda, Commander-in-Chief of the Combined Fleet, read the reports. 5 destroyers lost in 4 days, all in the same operational area, all to submarine attack, all reporting aggressive tactics. He made a decision that would change the entire Japanese naval deployment strategy. On May 24, 1944, Toyoda ordered all fleet units at Tawi-Tawi to withdraw. Immediately, the entire anchorage emptied in 36 hours. Battleships, carriers, cruisers, all moved north, away from the submarine threat. The operation they'd been planning was delayed 2 weeks. The delay gave American forces time to reinforce their positions in the Marianas. The delay meant the Japanese fleet couldn't achieve surprise when they finally attacked. The delay contributed to the catastrophic Japanese defeat at the Battle of the Philippine Sea on June 19-20, 1944. The battle the Americans called the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. 1 submarine, 4 days, 5 destroyers, changed the entire strategic picture in the Pacific because one commander refused to hide. Dealey brought the Harder back to Pearl Harbor on June 27, 1944. The submarine was damaged. Hull plates stressed from depth charges. Torpedo tubes needed maintenance. The crew was exhausted. They'd been at sea for 61 days. They'd sunk 5 destroyers, 2 cargo ships. They'd changed naval warfare. Fleet Admiral Chester Nimitz met them at the dock personally. Nimitz never met submarine commanders at the dock. He had 150 submarines in the Pacific. He couldn't meet every returning captain, but he met Dealey, shook his hand, asked him one question: "How did you do it?" Dealey's answer was pure Texas. "I attacked first. They expected me to run, so I didn't." Nimitz understood immediately. He'd spent his career in submarines. He knew the doctrine. He knew why captains played it safe. Submarines were expensive. Trained crews were irreplaceable. Losing a sub meant losing 80 men. Better to survive and fight another day than take unnecessary risks. But Dealey had proven something. Sometimes aggression was safer than evasion. Sometimes attacking was the best defense. Nimitz called a conference. Every submarine squadron commander in Pearl Harbor, every experienced captain. June 30th, 1944. They watched Dealey present his tactics, simple diagrams, attack geometry, timing calculations, the psychology of Japanese destroyer doctrine. Some commanders were skeptical, said it was luck, said Dealey had gotten away with it because the Japanese weren't expecting it. Once they adapted, these tactics would stop working. Others saw the truth. The Japanese couldn't adapt. Their entire anti-submarine doctrine was built on hunting defensive targets. Changing that doctrine would require retraining every destroyer crew in the fleet, would require new equipment, new procedures, new command structure. That would take years. By then, the war would be over. Nimitz authorized aggressive submarine tactics fleet-wide. Effective immediately. Attack destroyers when possible. Don't evade unless tactically necessary. Use aggression to create confusion. The Iron Hunter method became standard doctrine. Dealey took the Harder out on her 5th patrol on August 5th, 1944. Same operational area, waters around the Philippines. This time, the Japanese were expecting aggressive submarines. They changed their tactics. More destroyers per convoy, more aggressive sonar sweeps, more depth charges dropped at first contact. The Harder sank 1 destroyer on August 22nd, damaged 2 more. But on August 24th, everything went wrong. The Harder attacked a convoy northeast of Bataan, 3 transports, 4 destroyer escorts. Dealey fired 6 torpedoes, sank 1 transport. The destroyers counterattacked immediately, but this time they weren't following the old doctrine. They'd learned. They dropped depth charges in a new pattern, closer together. Shallower settings. They assumed the submarine was staying shallow. They were right. The Harder took 3 near misses at 120 feet. The hull cracked, flooding in the forward torpedo room. The crew fought for 2 hours to control it. They survived. Barely. Dealey brought the Harder back to Fremantle, Australia. The submarine needed major repairs. 2 weeks in dry dock. The crew got leave. Some of them didn't want to go back out. They'd pushed their luck too far. 5 patrols, 7 destroyers sunk. Too many close calls. But when the Harder was ready, every man showed up. They'd follow Dealey anywhere. The 6th patrol began on August 21st, 1944. Orders: patrol the Western Philippines, intercept Japanese shipping, support the upcoming invasion of Leyte. The Harder never returned. On August 24th, she attacked a Japanese convoy off Dassault Bay. Initial reports indicated successful torpedo attacks, then silence, no further radio contact. Search aircraft found debris and an oil slick on August 27th. Japanese records captured after the war confirmed what happened. The Harder attacked a convoy, guarded by 2 destroyer escorts. Dealey sank 1 destroyer. The 2nd destroyer, the Asakaze, counterattacked with a new depth charge pattern. Coordinated drops at multiple depths. The Harder was hit repeatedly. The pressure hull failed at 180 feet. The submarine imploded. All 80 crew members died instantly. Samuel Dealey was 37 years old. He'd commanded the Harder for 13 months. 6 war patrols, 20 ships sunk, 7 destroyers killed. He'd changed submarine warfare doctrine across the entire U.S. Navy. He was awarded the Medal of Honor posthumously. The citation read, "For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty as commanding officer of the USS Harder during her 5th war patrol in Japanese-controlled waters." Floodlighting a large area of the sea during the pursuit of an enemy ship on a dark night, Commander Dealey ventured daringly into a concentration of hostile surface craft. His position ruthlessly revealed, he calmly took the Harder in to close range, fired 6 torpedoes, and subsequently destroyed the target in a brilliant surface action. The citation didn't capture what Dealey had really accomplished. He'd proven that aggression worked, that attacking first beat hiding, that one submarine could hunt destroyers instead of being hunted by them. Every submarine commander who served after Dealey studied his tactics. They learned the Iron Hunter method. Charge the enemy, get close, fire everything, don't give them time to adapt. The U.S. submarine force sank 1,314 Japanese ships during World War II. 52 submarines were lost. The kill ratio improved dramatically after June 1944. After Dealey showed them how, the Japanese Navy never recovered from the psychological impact. Their destroyer crews became hesitant, cautious. They'd been the hunters. Now they were prey. That fear changed how they operated, made them less effective, cost them the war in the Pacific. Dealey's legacy lived on in unexpected ways. During the Cold War, American submarine commanders studied his tactics for hunting Soviet destroyers. The principles were the same. Attack first. Use aggression to create confusion. Don't let the enemy dictate the engagement. The USS Dealey, a destroyer escort, was named in his honor in 1954, served until 1973. After his death, his family received his Medal of Honor at a ceremony in Washington, D.C. His wife, Edwina, accepted it. She'd known Sam was aggressive, known he took risks. She'd also known he'd never stop, never retreat, never hide when he could fight. That's who he was. In 2001, marine archaeologists discovered the wreck of the USS Harder off the Philippines. Depth 380 feet. The submarine was intact except for the pressure hull, crushed inward from the depth charges. The crew was still inside. The Philippine government declared it a war grave, protected by law. Nobody can dive it. Nobody can disturb it. 80 men rest there, including one commander who changed naval warfare by refusing to follow the manual. If this story moved you, hit that like button right now. It helps us share more forgotten stories from World War II. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another story about the soldiers, sailors, and Marines who changed history. We want to hear from you in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from, your country, your city. Did you serve in the submarine force? Did your father or grandfather? Share your stories below. These men deserve to be remembered. Thank you for watching. Thank you for keeping their memories alive.